kchoi, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell, I've got a different background. I am at my family's home in Los Angeles. I came to LA for a friend's wedding, and then anytime I come home to LA, I just try to extend my trip. So I'm just working remotely here for a week, and then I'm taking a week off of work just to relax. It's very much needed. So that is why I'm in a different location, but I will be back in New York soon. I was inspired by Sanjana from Success by Sanjana, who I did a collab with a few months ago, which I'll link in the description box if you haven't seen it. She recently did a video giving career advice for young professionals, and I wanted to come up with my own list as well and share that with you. Definitely go check out her video too, which will be linked below. If you're new here, I've been a change management consultant for almost 4 years now, a little over 3.5 years, but I wasn't always in consulting. I previously worked in public relations for a few years. I graduated from undergrad in 2013, so I've been working for a number of years now, and just want to share some tips for those who are young career professionals just starting out. I hope this helps. Please don't mind all the lighting changes that are happening in this video. Just bear with me. But before we get into the tips, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, which is Squarespace. If you don't already know, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful website. I've been working with Squarespace for over 1.5 years, and I use Squarespace for my own website where brands can reach out to me, where I have a little bit about me. I've got some blog posts, and it is honestly the easiest tool that you can use to build a site. Whether you've got a blog, an online store, portfolio, website for a restaurant or a podcast or whatever it is, you can make it on Squarespace. They have so many beautiful templates to choose from that are very easily customizable so that it can be personalized to your own brand. They've also got marketing tools and analytics and lots of other great resources and tools all in one place to help you run a great site. Again, I'm a huge fan of Squarespace, have been using them for a while, so if you are also interested in starting a website through Squarespace, then go to squarespace.com/kchoi to get a free trial, and then when you're ready, use the code kchoi to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All of that info will be linked in the description box, so go check it out, and thank you again, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. My first piece of advice is to really invest in your relationships at work. Obviously, doing well in the work itself is important, but I think building really good relationships is just as important, if not more important. Your coworkers are going to be the ones that you spend the most time with. Realistically, if you're working 40 hours a week, you're probably going to see them or interact with them more than you might interact with your friends and your family. You want to have really good working relationships with these people, and you want trust and you want empathy. A kind of selfish, but I think straightforward way to think about this is if you have a good relationship with someone, then they are going to have your back when there is a time crunch or when you need something last minute and maybe you made a mistake and you just really need someone's support. If you haven't put in the time and the investment to build those relationships, then there isn't going to be anybody who has your back or will help you out in a time of need. Obviously, you're not building these relationships just so that you have some insurance later, but my point is that you have this environment and relationship of trust and understanding, and you're also giving. So it's not just a one-way street. You are also there and helping people when they need it, and they will help you back. This is also part of building your network, and whether you are wanting to move up in the same company or you want to go to a different company, having those relationships will help you in that process. Number 2 is to ask questions. It can be a little bit daunting when you're first starting out at a job to ask questions, and you might feel like you're asking stupid questions or you just don't want to look unprepared. But when you're just starting out, you really don't know anything, so it's okay to ask questions. In fact, it's better to ask questions up front so that you're not spinning your wheels and wasting time when you're asked to do a task or assignment. So ask those questions, get the clarification that you need in order to do your job well and to be set up for success. Number 3 is to be consistent and be reliable. We all are going to be known for different things within our different work environments. So some people will be known to be more creative and other people to be more analytical. But I think one thing that everyone should strive to be known for is being consistent and reliable. If somebody asks you for something, you want them to have a very clear understanding and expectation of what they're going to receive from you. If sometimes you do really great work and sometimes you do really poor work, then they're just going to be confused about your competency and your skills. And so you want to just strive for that consistency. Obviously, that doesn't mean that you're going to stay at the same level all the time, because you'll want to be growing as you continue in your role. So I don't mean staying the same, but just being consistent. And Similarly, with being reliable, if somebody asks you to do something, you don't want them to question whether or not you're gonna get to it or gonna do it. Make sure you're meeting whatever deadlines you're promising, which will just make life so much easier for your coworkers, and it'll help you establish a really good brand in your company as well. Number 4 is to develop systems that work for you. Some people are definitely just gonna be more organized than others, but that's why I say develop a system that works for you. If that means having different folders for different topics that your inbox gets sorted into, or if that means having your own personal notes document that you keep track of your tasks in, find that system and use it so that you can continue to be reliable, meet your deadlines, and stay on top of all of your work. The system that I use the most is using my tasks list in my Microsoft Outlook application. So anytime I have to-dos, I'll add them to my task list and I'll organize them in the categories of today, tomorrow, this week, and next week. So I'm checking those off as I'm completing them. I'm moving them around if my priorities changed, and that just helps me keep on track or on top of all of my to-do items. Number 5 is don't be afraid to share your opinion. When you're just starting out, it's tempting to just listen and observe and feel like your opinions and contributions aren't as important as somebody who's been at the company for a much longer time. However, every project and every conversation can do with a fresh perspective. So just own that perspective and also own whatever experiences you've had before your job, whether they were at a previous job, an internship, or in college. I find it's also helpful to find something to comment on or ask about early on in a meeting versus waiting till later, because it just gets more difficult to feel like you're going to be contributing or adding to anything that's already been said. I can't tell you how many times I have been listening and observing and had a thought, decided not to share it, and then somebody else shared a very similar thought, and it was met with a lot of positivity. So just take that as my encouragement to you to share your opinions and your thoughts. If it doesn't land, then it doesn't land, but at least you're putting yourself out there and showing that you are thinking and analyzing the conversation. Number 6 is to go beyond your role. Obviously, you don't want to be taking on a second job without getting paid for it or that type of thing, and I'll sort of get into that in the next tip, but you really don't want to have the mentality of that's not my job, especially if you're working in a team-based environment where you've got a project and you've got multiple different people working together. You don't want to just silo yourself or limit yourself to whatever is quote unquote in your job description. It's okay to go a little bit outside of your role if it's going to help the project overall. And going back to building good relationships, that's going to help you build a good relationship with your team, and it's also going to help you in your personal growth development later on. Now, the flip side of that is to always be aware of your contributions and your value. So if you find yourself doing senior associate level work when you're an associate, just be aware of that and have the right conversations in order to make sure that your compensation or your title matches what you're actually doing and offering to the company. If your company has a description or a rubric of some sort for the different levels at your organization, it helps to have your current roles as well as the role right after or right above yours. That way you can be cross-referencing those and seeing if you're starting to do more of the responsibilities in the role that is above yours. Sort of connected to that is the 8th tip, which is to be vocal about your goals. Hopefully you have a good manager that will advocate for you and support you. I think there's some statistic about how one of the main reasons that people leave a company is that they didn't have a good manager. So I really hope for you that you do have a good manager, or you have a good HR business partner or somebody that you can talk to discuss your goals. But even if it's not to a manager or HR business partner and it's to a peer, be vocal and open about what your goals are, because I just feel like putting that out there will increase your chances of achieving it. And those goals don't have to be just about moving up and getting a promotion. It could also be about gaining different skills or getting better at a certain skill that's within your current role. The range of the types of goals you can have is very wide, but the point is to just be open and vocal about it and keep track of them. My next tip is to learn, but also coach and teach others. If you're just starting in a new role, you of course are going to be a little bit more focused on learning, but as you become more comfortable and learn more things, then look for opportunities to teach and coach other people. So whether that's an intern or it's a new person who's starting in the same role that you are, or it's even people in different roles who want to learn a little more about what you do. Teaching and coaching other people not only helps you continue to establish a good brand as someone who knows what they're doing and is reliable for whatever area you work in, it also helps you continue to learn and get better at what you're doing. I always think back to when I first started and didn't know anything, and having someone to coach me and teach me was so helpful. So I just try to do my best to get people up to speed as quickly as possible so that they can start to really focus on their development and doing great work. And my last tip is don't compare yourself to others. This is just a main philosophy, I guess, that I try to have for my entire life, but I think it especially applies to career. There's a couple of different levels to this. So first of all, don't compare yourself to your peers who you graduated with, who are maybe doing different jobs in different fields. I've definitely compared myself to my friends who were earning more money than me or seemed like they were having so much more fun in their job. But everyone's situation is so unique and so dependent on whatever path they took to get there. So it's really important to just focus on your own journey and your own career path. You also don't want to compare yourself to the people that you work with. So people are going to develop at different rates. There's also going to be external factors that you don't have control over. So for example, we've had consultants who started during the pandemic, and their development is going to look different from someone who started several years before the pandemic. That's just one example, but hopefully that helps illustrate that not everybody is going to develop at the same rate or reach the same milestones at the same time. It'll depend what projects they're working on, who their manager is, who they're working with, how the business and the company is doing, and so many other things. If you're busy comparing yourself to others, then you don't have time to focus on developing yourself, which I think is much more important to spend your energy on. That's it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I still remember how challenging it was to transition from college into the workforce. I know you might not apply all 10 tips right away, but I hope that as you continue to grow in your career, that these will come to mind and will help you through some of those challenging times. Please leave a comment below with what other videos you'd like to see on my channel. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.